Good evening, y'all. It's Loretta here. Chloe's over there. We are at the top of Trinidad State Beach. There's a little day park area. I'll show you. The sun is starting to go down. The ocean's right there, of course. And I wanted to grill a steak. Let this get hot. I have here I have a corn on the cob already wrapped up with a little bit of my Kerrygold garlic and herb butter and some asparagus, which same thing, it's wrapped up like so, with a little bit of butter, and then I added some parsley and black pepper to it. So with the corn, I'm just gonna go ahead and stick it on there. We're gonna be grilling tonight a little bit of steak. Maybe not the most tender cut, but yeah, it'll work, right? And then I want to have BLTs during the week, so I typically will get 3 pieces of or slices of peppered bacon, and I'll cook them, slice them in half, and it makes 2 sandwiches because I use 3 per sandwich for my BLTs. And then for dessert, we have our strawberries that were on sale, which are amazing over here. It's like, they're so expensive. Food is so expensive. Got water. And then for the steak, I'm just gonna use a simple black pepper, parsley, because if you watch my channel, you know I love parsley, and some garlic powder. So I want to touch base and go over, I know I've been kind of hinting around telling you my scary camping trip I had years ago. Gosh, guys, I must have been like, I don't know, 17, 18 years old. It was a doozy. And oh yeah, and I got my they're not a sponsor, but if they want to sponsor me, I got my Japan knife. I never leave home without it. It's protection, and I use it to cut my steak, of course. But yeah, never leave home without it. Sharp, never needs sharpening. That I have had, and I've had it probably, I don't know, 6-7 years, never had to sharpen it. Anyway, oh, and also bear spray, because we are bears, as you can see. It's thick country back in here on this side, but we'll watch the sunset together. Anyway, so I want to touch base that, yeah, I've been hinting around about this story, and it's when something real like this happens to a person, it's like you don't forget it. It's like every day, every night you live that moment. And I've been just trying to figure out how to get it out there, how to tell it. Because in other senses, people may not believe you, you know? Because if not everybody experiences it or sees it or, you know, believes it, it's like, how can it be real? But when you have multiple people coming forth, finally telling their stories after many years, like I'm about to do, yeah, it's kind of one of those things, like I need to get out there. And I watch a lot of YouTubers that share experiences like this, like for one is Base Camp Chris. Shout out to you. I love the way you tell your stories. And there's so many others, but I'm going to start, and I'll link where we were camping at the time in my comments below. So do apologize, it's kind of like a day camp area, so there are a lot of other people here, so I'm at the furthest table closest to the ocean to tell my story. And yeah, so I was about 17, 18, 19 years old, thereabouts. And I mean, when I was growing up as a child, my family, we would always go camping. Uncles would come in, take us kids camping, whatever the case may be. We were always out in the wilderness, always fishing, always hiking, always exploring, and stuff like that. Fearless as kids. Nothing could deter us. Fast forward a few years, when you're a young adult or coming into becoming a young adult, like 17, 18, 19 years old, like I was, you kind of, unless you're like extremely driven to camping every day or being in the outdoors, or if you just want to break away from being like I grew up in an area called Platina, California. Population, Northern California, look it up. Population 60 at most, and it's famously known for its platinum mines, and there's a Russian Orthodox monastery up there as well. I'll link all that in my comments below. My brother and I, we would always go up we'd ride our bikes and everything, always up and visit the monks, have lunch with them. They'll share with us their garden and everything like that. And then there's a campground if you go further out. There's a campground past that, like miles past that, and you have to have a vehicle that can get through this winding area that goes through this creek. If you don't have something that's high enough, you're gonna get bottom out, and it'll be hard to get a tow truck up there to get you out of that creek. So yeah, but we used to always explore like that. We were kids, we were fearless. And so, like I said, I was about 17, 18, 19 years old, and it had been probably about, I don't know, 10, 15 years, maybe 10 years, about that I have gone camping, because my life kind of got redirected a little bit. And I got invited to go with a group of friends, and we were going to go to an area known as Whiskeytown Recreational Area. And again, I'll link that in the description below. And this area and if you can, I mean, when you Google it, you might come across a car fire, which happened just a few years ago. But prior to that, it was a lush, I mean, thicker than all of this here. And I'm on the coast. I'm in the redwoods, guys. And when you think about it, sorry, you might see Chloe right there, you know. And the sun is going down. Yeah, so basically I agreed. I'm like, yeah, that would be fun. I haven't been camping since I was a kid. So everybody's like, okay, well, let's make a list of what we need, because we were still in high school. So, well, we had just graduated high school. Let me take that back. We had just graduated high school. We were young adults. And I had strived to make it on my own. And it was before I met my ex-husband, my daughter's father. So yeah, we went on this camping trip, and it was beautiful. It was like picturesque. The water was calm. It was surrounded by these glorious pine trees and everything like that. And when I say all this, it's like, let me check this. Ooh, smoky. Everything was perfect. We brought fishing poles because we were gonna fish. They have nice trout in there. Nice campgrounds. There's some areas where you can be remote camping, or we actually found a spot right next to the lake. So when there was about maybe, I don't know, I had 3 friends and 3 girlfriends, and they had their boyfriends. I didn't have any guy at the moment because I hadn't met my ex-husband yet. So that would be 6, 7 of us. And there were 2 dogs. I brought my dog, and at the time I had a he was border collie Australian Shepherd mix, and my friend had a German Shepherd. Very protective dog on her part. My dog, he was protective too, but more of a, wanting to herd everything, as that typical that breed is. Anyway, so we all gathered went through the list. Everybody got everything that they needed. Everybody brought everything. And then when we got to, before we left for Whiskeytown Lake, we kind of went through and made sure we had everything on the list. So we had our coolers, we had our food, we had our ice, fishing gear, night crawlers, sleeping bags, all of that, warm clothes. It was like summertime, but it's still in the mountains. It's kind of elevated. So it falls between Weaverville and Redding, California. So it gets cold at night. And so once we knew we had everything ready, we headed off. And once we got there, we found our campsite, we set up, and we swam. The water was it was warm, it was nice. A few of us were fishing, and my friend was setting up our cooking area where we could start making food preps for dinner. And then, of course, bear country up there. So we were at Mountain Lion, we were getting ready to close everything down for the evening. And we could hear all kinds of birds, the ruckus of the wildlife, like raccoons, deer in the woods and whatnot. And so we sat around the campfire. Excuse me, I'm a little tired. We sat around the campfire telling stories and just catching up, because some of us, we haven't seen each other in a while. And then one by one we just started going to our tents and to head to bed. This probably would have been about 10, 11 o'clock at night. We started heading to bed, and the fire was still kind of going. Not too bad. And I don't know what that is, but it might be a spider. I don't know. But so with that said, we all kind of pretty much turned in. The dogs, they went to the bathroom. They came into respective tents. My dog would always bark when there was something wrong or she was scared. My friend's dog, he could always sense something if there was something wrong. And I remember going to bed or in the tent and starting to drift off to sleep, hearing crickets and the sound of the night, an owl maybe, the lap of the water. Every once in a while you'll hear a fish jump. So about, I don't know, a few hours later, maybe 2, 3, I heard this big kaplunk, like a big splash. And my tent was the closest to the lake, to Whiskeytown. And where it's set is kind of like this. If you look, the lake would be right there, the beach, right down to it. It didn't jump off, it led right into the lake. Okay, my tent would have been like right here. And it was just like this kaplunk, really, really loud. And I'm like, it kind of startled me, woke me up, because in my mind, and my dog kind of startled, in my mind, that must have been a really big fish, you know? Again, I'm 17, 18, 19 years old. And so And I was sleeping in my tent with one of my friends. So she didn't want me to sleep alone. And so I'm like, okay. So I tried to doze back off. My dog started growling. And then I heard another ka-plonk. I'm like, I kind of set up a little bit. And I'm like, okay, I don't think that's a fish. And then my mind went to bear, because the one thing we did not bring was bear spray. I mean, each of us had a couple knives, but that was about it. We didn't bring bear spray. And so I kind of shook my friend. I'm like, wake up, wake up. And she's like, what? I'm like, listen. And all of a sudden, you don't hear any crickets. You don't hear anything. Silence. But my dog is growling like there's something out there. And then she's like, why is your dog growling? I'm like, there's something out there. Shh, 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 shh. Because I'm thinking it's a bear. And so we listen, and our other friends' tents are probably about between 10 and 15, maybe 20 feet apart, because we're kind of like in the circle. There's like 3 tents, I believe, if I remember correctly. And when I like shook my friend, I'm like, get up. And I'm like, shh, just listen. The dog is growling, like really something. And then she's starting to cower. We start to hear steps, like on the beach coming towards our tent. And I'm just like, that's a bear. And in our tent, we didn't have anything for protection outside of my dog. So when we heard this, we started hearing something throwing something at our tent. Like little pebbles or little pine cones or something. And we're like, looked at each other, and I'm like, I don't think that's a bear. Bears don't do that, right? They don't do that. And so with every moment, it felt like every minute, every second, it felt like hours. And so basically, we really got scared, and we're just like, just don't talk, just listen. And next thing you know, the steps got a little closer. And then this time they were starting to circle our tent. And my friend's like, listen. She heard something hit our friend's tent. And we're like, okay, maybe it's a pine cone. Maybe we're imagining this because it's our actual first trip camping for several years since we were kids. And so when we heard our friends kind of like, hey, wake up, there's something out there, we're like, okay, we're not imagining this. They're hearing it too. And next thing you know, we're seeing lights come on in our friends' tents, both of them. So we're getting really scared at this moment. And where we were, there really, when we got there, there were not any pine cones around our campsite area. There were not any rocks, really big rocks or anything like that, little pebbles and everything, little sticks and whatnot. And I remember hearing this whoof, whoof, and when I look back and I researched that's like a sound of a bear, but then it went woof, woof, like almost like a monkey, like. And I'm sorry, you're hearing birds in the background. And I'm just like, okay, we're in trouble here. There's something out there. We don't know what it is. They know we're here. And we're getting pelted on our tent by rocks and pine cones. It sounded like little sticks. And every once in a while, you'll hear a scream in the back. And I'm like, bear? I don't think bears do that. I'm gonna turn my corn here. I don't think bears do that. And finally, it's like, I heard my friend who was in the tent with me, her boyfriend's like, hey, are you guys okay? He's trying to whisper, be as quiet as he can. And we're like, what is it? We're scared. And all of a sudden, dead silence. There's nothing. And my friend and I were looking at each other. My dog is just like, now from going from growling, starting to whimper. She never whimpers. And when that happens, I'm like, there's definitely something out there. I don't know what it is, but we need to figure it out. We need to get out of here. I don't want to stay here. I don't want to be here. Again, this is my first camping trip experience since I was a kid, and I was like really freaking out. And so, dead silence, nothing. And then we start hearing the steps walk away. And then this kaplunk, back in the lake. We're like, did it come from the lake? Did it swim over here? What is it? What was it? And so, with that said, we both slowly unzipped our tent because my dog's still whimpering. I'm hearing my friend's dog in the third tent over just start growling, like frantically growling and barking. And so we slowly unzip it, and my friend's like, what is that? The moon was kind of like a half moon, like a what do you call it, like a sliver of a moon, basically. So it did bring off some illumination, and then we had a little bit of illumination from our fire, which is burning down. And we're unzipping that, and we just see this thing walking from our tent that was about here, the beach, to the lake, in the lake, and go that way. So we open the tent fully, and we run over to our friend's tent, and we go and we're like, let us in. There's something out there. We don't know what it is. They had a couple knives. We did not in our tent. And they're like, yeah, we heard it too. And so everybody got up. What is interesting, our other friends, I guess they were not pelted or anything by anything. They slept through it. So we woke them up, we shook them up. Like, what's going on? And they're like, get up. So everybody got up, and we're like, we need to get this fire going. First thing in the morning, we need to get everything, because it was a hike out to our vehicles. First thing in the morning, we need to get everything packed up. There's something out here. We don't know what it is. And so everybody is trying to use their flashlights, because back then we didn't have cell phones, our flashlights, to find firewood and get it on the fire. And we stayed awake that whole night around that fire camp. Come dawn, or just before dawn, we started hearing this, it wasn't an owl, it didn't sound like an owl, but this whooping sound, whoop, and then more things being thrown, and then what they call like it sounded like branches knocking on trees or whatever. But we're like, we're not alone here, and that's not a bear. So we quickly started packing everything up. Then we heard this kaplunk sound that me and my friend heard, because we were the closest. Again, we were really close to the lake there, and we're like, that's it, it's coming back, it's in the water, we gotta go, it's swimming. And so we start packing up everything, and as we were doing so, guys, my friends, and the other two that didn't get bothered or messed with, they're like, hey, I don't think these are bear tracks, check these out. And literally they were footprints that looked human-like, and they were between, we measured them, because my friend had a measuring tape for fish, because in some areas you have to measure your fish, and some of them were 14, some were 16, some were even 18 inches long. So we knew that there were more than one, and they were about this wide, about, he said 4 to 5 inches wide, and heavy. Whatever it was heavy because it left indentions. And where our tents were, and it's funny, I kept these all these years. These are the only 3 I still have left, but they were these pine cones, little pine cones, and these were being used to toss onto our tent. Little rocks too. So yeah, that was my most scary camping adventure. I think we left a few things behind, but you know, we just wanted, because we heard it coming again as the sun was coming up in the water, and we wanted to get out of there. And this was at Whiskeytown Lake National Recreational Area, Shasta County. And again, I'll share those links with you, but I gotta get my grill here going. It's smoking really nice. Sun is gonna be a really nice sunset tonight, guys. I'm gonna put the asparagus on because my steak isn't going to take that long. And with that, it's just a simple salt and pepper. Down here real quick, like so. Well, I'm not using salt, I'm sorry. It's a simple pepper and garlic powder and a little bit of parsley because I love parsley. I'm gonna go in there, well, a lot. That's okay, I love it. And a little bit of that. And then, this isn't going to take long, guys, so I'm just gonna go ahead and flip it on. The corn should be almost done. Same thing here, a little bit of pepper, bring you up there. Need a bit of garlic powder and some parsley. Sorry, there's the Coast Guard. I don't know if you can see them through the trees, but that's the Coast Guard. Their helicopter. They do trainings. There's a training base up in Eureka, California for them. But they do routine flights. They have rescued people who are doing dumb things. Quite a bit. So put that back on. I'm gonna pack up my seasonings because it's starting to get a little on the darker side. But yeah, that's my story. So I do have many more stories to share like this. I've kind of kept to myself. I've experienced throughout my younger years and up to just recently. So if you like this kind of storytelling or hearing about what I've gone through or what I witnessed, it's interesting. There's people going to go surfing right now, and this is the time that sharks come out. Let me know. If you made it through to the end of this video, just know that I like key lime pie, so please comment key lime pie. Leave me a thumbs up. Please like, subscribe, and yeah, I love you. So I'm gonna finish grilling my steak, and yeah, wanted to share that story with you. And I kept these pine cones after all this time. All right, y'all. I love you. Thank you for being positive. Thank you for subscribing. And yeah, I remember every detail of that night. I have not camped at Whiskeytown National Park since then. All right. Bye, y'all.